So hello and welcome to the Auto Riff episode 21 with Matt. Hi, Matt.
Hey, thanks
Hi.
for having me on again.
Always. So today's subject, so we have Matt's going to have his own segment, which is exciting. But my segment's going to come first. Then we'll do Matt's. And then we're going to have a bit of an announcement about the show. It's not ending, in case that's what you're already thinking. All five of you that listen to this, it's not ending yet. Uh, so my
I'm
segment
sorry.
is going to be no, it's fine. My segment is going to be weird automobile facts. So I took this off a website that had 17 weird and wonderful car facts, and I will put the link to that in my description. But I only picked 9 of them because it's my show and I'll do what I want. So, this first one already, I might call BS on.
Go ahead.
Okay.
I don't know any of these, by the
No,
way.
you don't know any of them. The world's first speeding ticket was issued in 1902, which, okay, I'm following so far. 1902. But it says that that person was driving 45 miles an hour. I might call BS on that.
I don't think the first cars went that fast.
That's
The
kind
early
of what
ones.
I was like.
It's
Yeah,
like 5 or 10 miles an hour,
right.
something like that.
So I'm going to call slight BS on that. I mean, maybe. I don't know. Maybe. I didn't like the good thing about getting into these clickbait ones is I don't have time to verify it. Fact number 2: a modern Formula One car. Do you know what you know what a Formula One car is? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Can drive upside down in a tunnel at 120 miles per hour. That I do believe. I believe that they make enough downforce that they could do that. So it says F1 cars produce 3.5 G while cornering. So for reference, a very good sports car these days would pull just over 1 G around a corner.
I don't know if I can comprehend. The closest I can get to feeling that, the Gravitron at the fair,
Yeah.
you've been around.
Yeah. I wonder I don't know how many G's that would be. You should look that up
That's-
while I'm doing these.
You know what? That's a good idea.
Yeah,
That's a good
look
idea.
that up.
Yeah, you're like, do something useful.
Do something productive, Matt. So fact number 3, 60 million cars are produced every year. That's 165,000 a day, 6,875 an hour, and 115 a minute. Another fun fact based on that I am not taking for my weird automobile facts, I actually heard on another podcast today, and I'll mention that podcast later, is that there are so many Ford F-150s waiting for computer chips right now, sitting at, I believe, the Kentucky Raceway. I can't remember the name of it. It's the old NASCAR track in Kentucky. They're all sitting there apparently, waiting on chips that you can. There's enough there that you can see it from space.
Wow.
Yeah. Have you figured out how many G's are in a Gravitron?
3, by the way. 3
Three
Gs.
out of the Gravitron. So we're talking another half G on top of that in an F1 car.
And it's really now it says up to as great as 3G or 3 times the normal force of gravity. So if you haven't been on a Gravitron, it's a fair ride that's you lean against the walls. There's pads on it that slide, and as it spins, you slide up at like a 45-degree angle or
right.
so, and it holds you up there, and then when it's done, it slides back down. I was on it once, and the guy in the middle is like some teenager. I was like 10. It was like the first time at I think it was the fair in Lee County.
Yeah, Southwest Florida
In South
Fair.
Florida. Yes, I think it was there. I went with friends in 5th or 6th grade, and the guy was just totally bored hanging out. And I think we were on there way longer than we were supposed to be because it just went and went and went. And even as a kid, fair rides go really fast.
Yeah.
So the fact that I remember thinking, oh man, we've been here a while, and I'm like, up against a wall in my little 10-year-old 45-pound self. There's probably still a print in.
Right. You're in real
Yeah,
danger of actually popping out of it. Um,
truly. So yeah, but talking about the Formula One car, I don't know if I would be brave enough to maybe a simulation, but if
right.
I had the opportunity to do it myself, I don't know if I'm brave enough to say yes, I'll do this.
To
What
drive
about
it?
like? Well, if you could do like a ride along or something that could like
Yeah.
do it for you, you do it upside down in a tunnel.
Oh no. No, no, no.
I was gonna say it. I'm like,
I would never
you're
like I would never trust that.
okay.
No, like
I was,
I would I drive in an F1? Absolutely. Would I drive upside down? No. Like it I think it would just seem as unnatural as can be.
that right.
So, fact number 4, it would take less than a month to get to the moon by car. If you drove straight to the moon at an average of 60 miles per hour, which is highway-ish speed, it would take you just under a month to get to the moon. I assume that's no potty breaks, Matt.
Damn, don't get loud with me, sir.
You've been called out.
I have been called out. FYI, in most of Texas, the speed limit is 80 here
Yes.
on the highway.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
it's 60 here. Well, it's 100 kilometers an hour, so 62.
And if you want to be rear-ended, you'll drive 80. If you want to keep up with traffic, like 90. I have absolutely been driving 85 and have had people just blow by me like it was nothing. And I don't know if it's because I'm older now. Not that I was ever a crazy speed demon, but I was not shy about driving the speed limit. If we all remember, I'm not even going to try to lie about it because you'll just roast me for that. But yeah, the highway speed limits here, it's not a problem. The problem I could tell you as a claims adjuster, when I moved to Texas and I'm licensed here,
Yeah.
so this was my primary state for years, was people having car accidents, and I would take their recorded statements. This is on a recorded statement that could go to court, by the way. Sir, I see that you changed lanes and struck this person on their driver's side. Did you? How? Did you? Were they in a blind spot? Did you not see them? What was there? Were they doing something else? What happened? I have my turn signal on, and when I moved over, they were there. So you saw them? Yeah, they should have moved. I had my turn signal on. That's not how this works.
That's not an excuse. For those of you out
And
there, just because you have your turn signal on does not mean you can just switch lanes. You still need to
so
clear yourself.
they should have moved out of the way.
That's some Orlando driving style right there.
That is not the only time I've heard that here. So Texans, I have found to be very kind people,
Except for when they're
like
driving.
in stores and stuff like that. So all that Southern rage is focused on the highways. Like
Gotcha.
it's road rage.
Yes.
Texan drivers have been some of the worst I've ever met in my life. And I will say, I used to handle DC claims, and I used to work just outside of DC, and I've driven in DC myself. I've driven in DC, and DC is hectic, but it's not dangerous hectic as long as you're like watching roads because construction. Texans, holy
I hated driving
It's-
in DC. The city
it's
I've hated most driving in was Atlanta.
Oh, so every time I've ever driven through Atlanta, I will literally time my driving so that I arrive in Atlanta at 4 a.m.
Yes.
so that I'm through the city by 5,
Yes.
by 4:30 or 5, just in case I need to stop and pee. That's why I timed it 4 because I give
Now you know
myself
why I
time
called them out.
like the Stone Mountain trip.
Yeah.
I'm like, pull over, I'm gonna die.
That's the only acceptable time to stop at a Waffle House. So 75% of all cars that are produced by Rolls-Royce are still on the road. So in all
that's been-
time. Yeah. Why would that car, I mean, obviously because it's a premium brand, but it should have been number 1 on our last list.
I'm confusion. Some things aren't adding up there.
That's
Does it feel like a disconnect? Should
Maybe.
they?
again, I didn't vet all these facts, so
That's true.
yeah. I like to believe that 75% of all Rolls Royces are still on the road, but I also believe that most of them are garaged. So,
Right. So that was going to be my next comment was that, Rolls Royce are a specialty car, obviously, a lot of people.
yeah.
And so I wonder if, it's they're still functional, but they're essentially parked,
Yeah.
you know, like
I
they're
would believe that. And then most of them are driven by chauffeurs. And
right. I
so,
would not be a good wealthy person with a chauffeur.
no, I would not either.
Oh, Mr. Everhart, where do you want to go? To Taco Bell?
I want you out of the seat so I can drive. Um,
Right. That right there.
so Volkswagen owns 12 car brands. I did not realize they own that many.
I did not know that at all.
So they own Volkswagen, obviously. Audi, which I knew. Seat, which I did not know. Skoda, Bentley, Bugatti, Lamborghini, which I did know they owned Lamborghini, and Porsche. I knew that. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Porsche, Ducati. They include Volkswagen commercial vehicles, which obviously. Scania and MAN, or MAN. I don't know if MAN stands for something. That's a European brand, I believe. So yeah, I didn't know. I knew Volkswagen was rapidly closing in on Toyota as one of the best-selling brands globally, if they had not already taken it over. So the first ever car accident occurred in 1891. So out of the 3 cars on the road, 2 of them managed to find each other and crash. And I believe the last one I have here, the world. Nope, sorry, I have 2 more.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. The world record for removing and replacing a car engine is 42 seconds. Yeah, this record was set by mechanics. Huh?
Was it a micro machine?
It was no. The record was set by mechanics working on a Ford Escort in 1985.
That's not a brag.
No. The last fact: the man who invented cruise control was blind.
Which is so crazy.
Yeah, his name was Ralph Teeter, and he was inspired to invent cruise control by his lawyer, who was apparently a very poor driver. As opposed to the blind man, apparently, who was an excellent driver. I don't know that he was an excellent driver, but if a blind man can tell you're a bad driver, you're a bad driver.
That's pretty bad, actually. Yeah. Like, how bad of a driver do you have to be for your blind passenger to be like, wow,
oh, this is not good.
I'm
being tossed around a lot.
And this is a time when they're used to being on horseback, and they were
well after that. I think I remember it was in like the 70s or 80s.
Oh, I was thinking like prototype, thinking.
Yeah.
Wow, that's really unfortunate.
Back then, you just put a brick on the accelerator, and that was your cruise control. My dad did that to me actually in my Power Wheels Jeep when I was 2. I wouldn't ride the Jeep, and so he finally stuffed me in there, put a brick on the gas pedal, and let me go.
This explains so much.
So much. So Matt, you have a new segment that you haven't told me about.
I really think your dad should. I would love to have your dad on here, just like talking
absolutely.
to you.
I would love to hear about all the vehicles he owned that I don't know about.
Besides that, I think you could impart some really great knowledge, and that man can tell a story.
Yeah.
So, speaking of interesting facts, you mentioned the car accident.
Yep.
So, now that I don't work there anymore, I can say this, and I think you might find this really fascinating. So I used to work for State Farm. I was a claims adjuster for them. I handle property and fatalities and all the miserable stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But fun facts: initially, The things not covered by car accidents were, you know, if you like go off the road and hit a tree, that was not covered initially. That was absolutely not covered.
Well, like
Um,
you just went off the
uh,
road and hit a tree.
right, if you hit a solid object, the feeling from the original, I can't even remember his name now. It's been so many years since I worked since I that first day there. He was like, if you're going to hit a solid object, you kind of deserve it.
Right.
I believe the first ever claim paid by State Farm was a husband and wife going down the road, and she was driving, and I think she tried to beat a train or something like that and clipped something. It was pretty dramatic,
For
you
those of
know.
you listening right now, I'm just shaking my head because wow.
Yeah, you know, the entire 22 miles per hour
Yeah.
cars were, and he thought that was a good idea.
Yeah.
So I thought you'd find that fascinating, you
Yeah.
know.
That it's never in shows or anything. It's never a good idea to try and beat the train.
No.
It rarely works out. So Matt, what's your segment? I'm excited to hear this.
So I thought it'd be really fun. We did a game on my podcast the other day where we asked Clint if he knew certain terms.
Hmm.
Um, Now, for years, when I first met Clint, I loved talking about cars, and there was lots of things. I had only really lived with my grandparents a few years, and my parents were not car people, so I did not have any knowledge about cars when I came to live with my grandparents at 10, and I met Clint when I was 15. So I learned tons of car terms from you, or what to look up later if
Yes.
I was too embarrassed to tell you that I didn't know what it meant. So I would just shut up and go look up later. So I found 25 classic car terms, so we see if Clint knows what they are.
Okay.
Some of them I think are pretty. I mean, I know them, so I'm like, if you don't,
So classic car terms.
yeah, I thought these would be fun.
Hmm.
And obviously, you know, something different. And because you invite me on here, you never ask me to do anything. You're always like, hey, just show up and, you know, just wing it. Number 25. What is a banger?
A banger?
That's
That's
number two.
it's a I'm between it's either a good car or a bad car. I feel like it's a good car.
So that's one common term. But when I tell you what the listed definition, you're going to think, I think you got to change your mindset.
Okay.
The term refers to the number of cylinders, like a four banger, that
Oh,
kind of
okay.
thing.
Well, yeah. Okay. If there
Sorry,
was if
like
it's
that's
number and banger,
I'll give
okay,
you
that's yeah.
yeah, I'll give you a warm up on that one because this is how. So being raised with my grandfather, this is how he described cars.
Okay.
What is bone stock?
That means you've done nothing to the car.
Absolutely.
It's off the showroom.
I think this is pronounced. This next term is pronounced Brougham, Brougham, as in Mary.
Oof. I've seen that term before, but I'm not. I feel like it was like I've always seen it on those cars with like the cloth tops.
I think it is going to be that kind of car, but it was a type of car once common and refers to a vehicle with an open chauffeur's compartment in the front and closed seating for either two or four riders in the back. So you're going to see it probably in those older cars that you're talking about.
So like a bigger chauffeur style car.
Yeah, with an open space.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem to be like closed off.
Right.
So, cabriolet.
That's a
Some of these, if you
convertible.
don't get right, I'm going to hit you.
That's a convertible.
Not that I'm promoting violence or anything.
No.
Dagmar.
Dagmar?
Dagmar. Dagmar.
I've never heard that term. Is it a U.S.
These
term?
are,
Or
I
is it
believe
not
so. These are torpedo-like decorative elements on fenders and or bumpers from the 1950s.
I didn't know
So
this.
nicknamed after the busty 1950s TV personality Dagmar.
I've never heard that term. I know what the little pieces are, but I've never heard that term.
What are digs? D-I-G-S.
Is it not
This
the-
seems to be more of a
Is it the interior of your car?
new. Drag races were called digs in some circles.
Oh,
So it seems more of like a localized term.
okay.
What is an estate car?
I want to say a wagon.
Bravo. Refers to an early form of a station wagon used to carry people around to and from large estates. Next one, fadeaways.
Um,
Think car body.
like I
I
was
have a
thinking
picture.
I was thinking the like pop-up headlights, but I think
New.
those would just be called pop-up headlights. That, or I'm thinking like the Mustang style turn signals.
These are fenders that blend into the body of the car rather than sticking out in a pronounced bump out. First made
Okay.
popular with the 1941 Packard Clipper.
Okay.
Let's see if the.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah, yeah. I see what you mean.
Are you enjoying this segment? Was this a
Yes.
good idea?
Yes. I'm
Okay,
learning stuff.
right? And it's from me. Like holy
Right.
Fodor. Fodor.
Fodor?
Fodor.
Like I'm thinking it's a four-door. Just somebody says it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I got me one of them Fodors. Like that.
That
I'm from the
four on
south.
the
I can
floor.
say it that way. It's fine.
Yeah. Well, so when I first read the term, that's what I thought too, because that's how I didn't realize I knew the term until I read it. And went, oh,
Right.
oh,
Yeah.
four on the floor.
It's a four-speed on the floor. Four-speed manual.
Right. I mean, how many country songs are written with that line in it anyway? I think you're required to know that if you live south of the Mason-Dixon.
Right.
Governor.
The governor. I would say the speed governor on the carburetor that slows it down. Yeah.
Yes. Much like my state's governor, pisses me off.
Yes.
Gullwing doors.
Those are the winged doors, like on the
Now,
Mercedes. Not well, Mercedes. At that Mercedes sports car from the '50s. I can't remember the CLS, not the CLS. The new one.
well,
The new one has it.
for a bonus point, can you name a specific movie where where those doors were on a very specific car and it was made famous? I have another joke to make, but you'd
James
have to
Bond.
edit it out. No.
Oh.
Think 88 miles per hour.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, Back to the Future on the DeLorean DMC
Yes.
12.
Yes. Hopped up. What is
That
the term hopped up?
that's just when you modify a car.
Yep. It's all jacked up on Mountain Dew.
I'm gonna be when that hard Mountain Dew comes out.
I saw your reference on Facebook. It came across my
Yeah.
feed, and I started laughing because I was like, "Oh, climb you like a spider monkey." Did I watch? I watched that movie with you.
Probably, yeah.
I,
It came out while we were probably in college.
that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
See, this is why I'm glad we didn't have smartphones back when we were in high school and college because we would have been insufferable.
Yeah.
Um, land yachts. What are
So land yachts are generally referred to like old Cadillacs and stuff, like the huge cars back then.
yes, like 50s and 60s
Yeah.
large cars. Oh wow! You know what? I did know this term. Louis.
It's a U-turn or a left turn.
Mm,
Sorry,
yeah,
I hang a Louis. Yeah, my dad used to say that.
yeah. I learned. I don't know who I learned that from, but I did know that one. Mouse motor. I
Like
feel
it's
like you
obviously a
got
small motor.
Yes, it was manufactured from a specific year to present by a specific maker.
Would it have been like a Volkswagen motor, like the motor?
Think American. One of the big three.
One of the big three, and it's a specific engine.
It's a nickname for a small motor manufactured from this year to present by a specific manufacturer.
I'm gonna say General Motors from
Well,
the 40s.
go ahead. Pete. Manufactured from 1955 to present by Chevy.
Oh, okay.
Oh, all
It's a
right.
mouse motor. All right.
Yeah. OEM.
Original equipment manufacturer.
Now, I do realize that some of these terms are super normal to us, but If you are a budding car enthusiast, a lot of these terms you'll see, like when you read magazines, a lot of times the writers will throw in these terms to kind of
Right.
jazz up the article, and it makes it a little more fun to read.
Yes.
And especially understanding like what OEM means, because sometimes when instead of listing all the parts or a specification, they'll just say, "Oh, OEM," and then you just are kind of expected to know that that year of that car that they've listed, that's it, and moving on.
Yeah.
Oh, some of these are just giveaways. Pinstripe.
Oh, it's the pinstripe on the side of the car.
It's also called a. In the old days, it had another name.
Racing stripe.
Do you know it? No. A good guess though. Coach
Racing
line.
stripe. A what?
A coach line.
Coach line. Oh, I've never heard that.
Neither did I.
I was thinking like they had the hockey stick racing stripe on the side of like the Camaros. They had the racing stripes up the middle. And then, pinstriping.
When you would drive to my house, right? You remember where you turned into my cul-de-sac where I actually lived?
Yeah.
Right before on the left, there was the house that had the red. I think it was an older Camaro, and initially it was red, and then they added pinstripes, and then they added the white dragons. Do you remember that car?
Kind of. Yeah.
And I remember you saying every week you pick me up for school, and you're like, "How is that car? It's a nice car, getting worse every week." Like I just remember you saying that, and I didn't know what to respond with because I was, yeah. I mean, here we are. Here's one. Pony car.
That was the Mustangs, Camaros, Challengers, Trans Ams. It's just below the
Yeah.
muscle, full-blown muscle car, sports car type thing.
Right, I guess so, yeah. It refers to a small car with lots of power, so named after the Mustang was released.
Right.
Because Mustangs. Ooh, I didn't know. Okay, this one I did not know. Roscoe.
A cop. I'm thinking Roscoe from Dukes of Hazzard. Is it a right-hand turn? You hang a Roscoe?
Yes. Yeah, that's the answer.
Okay, all right, there you go. That was my first guess, and I'm like, no, that can't
How
be
did
right.
you even, like jump into that? How did you get that?
I don't know. That was initially. I swear to you, my first thought, and I went, no, that's not it.
Well, that's the right answer. To the Dukes of Hazzard, every now and then I'm strongly reminded, like no matter where we go and where we live, we always grew up in North Fort Myers.
Right, exactly. Yes.
Oh, rumble seat.
It's so in like the 40s, like Ford Coupes and stuff, they had the seat in the back that folded away. I believe that was called the rumble seat.
The seat that often myself or Travis have had to ride in because we were like tiny.
Yes.
This early invention was a flip-down seat for two that could be stowed away when not in use. This back rumble seat was often uncovered, which made riding in one not as pleasant. They are sometimes also called mother-in-law seats. So for those of you that don't like your mother-in-laws,
There you go.
bless y'all, I hope you do. Um, you know, Clint, I think of commentary and jokes that I cannot make on this
Yep.
podcast because I try to minimize the editing you have to do
Right.
because of, and you already have to do enough. So I'll save it for after we turn the recording off. You're like, God, please don't. Suicide knobs.
Suicide knob?
Yes.
I would think that would be the knob on the steering wheel, but I feel like it's got a different name.
Yes, it has a couple of names. I only knew it as this one. I didn't know why it was called that, and my grandmother could not answer me when she initially told me what it was called.
But is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay.
These devices, which attach to the steering wheel, were also called Brodie knobs after the near death of James Brodie. These knobs were rumored to have been dangerous and illegal, but they are not illegal at all. They are also called spinners since they help you more effectively turn the wheel with one hand so you can keep your arm around your date and still drive. These can also be made of wood, metal, rubber, or even carved. I think it's pronounced bakelite. Is that right? Bakelite? Bakelite? It's called bakelite, but it looks, I'm guessing, bakelite. a lot of these modifications, like, are for that, but they often also get used for people who may have, an injury or like a disability or
Yeah.
something,
Well,
like a
typically
mobility issue.
tractors have them. Like I'm pretty sure all tractors have them.
Right. So I haven't been on a tractor in,
Well, you need to be able to steer and then also operate the other controls, right? So,
yeah, that makes complete sense. I just, now that you're saying that, I'm like, I
and you
haven't been
don't go
on a,
fast enough for it to ever be an issue. So,
well, tell that to people here in Texas that pull out in front of you in traffic on major roads in their tractors.
that sounds
Happens
right.
weekly. Yeah, it's very normal. And I do not live as far in the country as you might think. What is a touring car?
So that's like a sports car with slightly softer suspension. Is usually, oh, it's a GT car, Grand Touring car. I feel like your face says that's not right.
That's some of the delay on the camera.
Okay.
You're not totally. A touring car. A touring car is an open car with no side windows, manufactured in the early days of the automobile industry, and meant for taking in the countryside views uninterrupted by windows or window frames.
Okay, that makes sense.
So you were not totally wrong. So it was meant to be like, woo,
Right.
lovely. Oh gosh, number one. What is a Woody, Clint?
Oh, wood paneling on the
Yes,
side.
the faux wood paneling on the sides. Do you remember which kind of car it was super popular on?
Uh, well, station wagons generally.
That was the answer.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that is what I had for these.
Awesome.
I thought that would be a fun game.
Yes, that was
We've
fun.
only
Thank you for doing that.
You're
So,
welcome. It was
so I just have a quick announcement. So we're going to be doing something a little bit different on the show. Matt and I are still going to be doing these type of shows, obviously. But we're also going to start, or I'll start, and Matt will join in occasionally, profiling people within the car enthusiast community. So I've started reaching out, and if anybody listening to this right now wants to be on this podcast as a guest co-host, I'd love to have you. So basically, what we're going to be doing is kind of talking about what kind of car you have, why you have it, any driving stories, whatever, wherever the conversation goes. But I already have one person lined up, and possibly I'm going to be doing another, or sorry, a crossover type episode with another car podcast called "The Truth About," or sorry, "The Thing About Cars." I listened to their episode today, and it's a very well done podcast. They're based out of Georgia, and it's 4 people. It's really cool. So basically, having said that, again, if there's anybody listening who wants to be on here and to talk about cars, what they own, what they want, whatever, I'd love to have you. Make sure to email me at theautoriff@gmail.com. You have anything else, Matt, before we close it out?
I don't. Thank you so much for having me. I always enjoy doing this with you. So I'm super excited to see, like, that you're gonna have more people on. I have not been fired.
Matt
I've
has not
actually
been
been
fired.
fired.
No, we're just
Actually, no. What you're gonna see is when you log on, there's gonna be like a picture behind you that says "not allowed." And it's gonna be like a Wild West style version.
yeah.
Be careful.
Wanted, dead, not alive. Um, so with that, make sure like, subscribe, comment if you're watching on the YouTubes. If you're listening on the podcast, make sure you leave a review and please rate and share the podcast as well. Thanks again, Matt.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Thanks again for listening to The Auto Riff. Be sure to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook, or you can email us at theautoriff@gmail.com. Without you, the listener, I'd just be a crazy person talking about cars to myself. I appreciate the support and the conversations with my listeners that this provides. Until next time, everyone drive safe and have a great week.